Every successful practice has a moment no one brags about. It's a miss, a mistake, a setback. Fail Forward is a short series where dentists and practice owners share the failure that forced them to grow and the change that made everything better. This is where progress really begins.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kiera Dent, owner and founder of the Dental Team Consulting Company, and I love this, the Fail Forward. And one of the failures that shaped how I lead, how I run my business, how I think about today, there's actually a lot. I think back to when I first started a company and I was basically burning both ends of the candle. I was working from 2 a.m. until 11 p.m., thinking that that was the best way to get to success. And my marriage was failing, my health was failing, my mental stamina was failing. And I just thought, I've got to just keep going and grinding this out and figuring out how to get there. And, if I just push hard enough, I will get there. And what I learned through that was that's actually the wrong way to look at this. There's not enough human capital stamina to be able to go from 2 a.m. to 10 p.m. for an extensive period of time. Of course, there will be short bursts and spurts. I learned that very, very early on. And one would think that I would have learned that a decade ago, but I think that life lessons and failures repeat until we truly learn the lesson that we were meant to learn. And so what happened from my first one was I ended up completely giving up and I sold out of that company and I restarted and decided that it was time to start Dental Team. And it was almost as if I needed to take that energy and I needed to put it into something new. It was almost like I felt like I had failed and I needed to do something. It was like I had this busy mind. Well, fast forward to June of 2025. So that lesson was learned back in 2015. So literally a decade later, June 2025, almost to the day, I completely broke. And I was once again running all things. Now this time I had a bigger team. I had other pieces, but I was still wearing so many hats. And this time it was even worse than the first time. And I remember sitting at Salt Lake Airport and just feeling like utter defeat. I remember sitting there thinking like, gosh, there are ways that this could all be over, which I know are not the appropriate thought to have. And I just felt like a failure. I had an impending lawsuit sitting on me. I had the worst reviews that had ever been said about me. I was just exhausted. I was tired. Our marketing, it was $300,000 down, a mistake that I made in thinking that things were going to move forward. And I remember just sitting on that sidewalk, utterly exhausted, utterly tired. And going back to a decade before, I thought, Kiera, how did you not learn this? Like, what needs to happen for you to truly actually learn this and move forward? And in that moment, I realized that I was broken and that I did need to step back and I did need to figure this out. And so I actually took, for the first time in my entire career, an entire month off from the company. And I had to reset, I had to recenter, I had to figure out my why again. I had to figure out as a CEO what I was meant to do, what I wasn't meant to do, what things were taking my energy, what things I was controlling by not empowering my team. And I took a whole month off. I slept for about 17 hours a day. I was in 17 hours of therapy every single week. That's not an exaggeration. I was sleeping in therapy, just trying to recenter. And what I realized was I was putting everything before me rather than putting myself first and making sure. And I have this little note on my computer that says, I'm $1 billion asset. And yeah, I was treating myself as if I was a dollar asset. And the lesson in the mindset shift that I learned was I've got to put myself first. So non-negotiables in my week now are working out every single week. Non-negotiables are meditating every single morning. Non-negotiables are going for a walk to clear my mind every single morning and getting myself set up for success. It's having Fridays that are completely blocked for white noise time to where I'm not always running, because as a CEO, a lot of it's creative time. It's not being busy and scheduled. It's actually having the space and the stamina to create, to evolve, to build. And in putting those things into place, I will tell you, it was a massive fail. Backwards it felt. It was a $300,000 loss. It was my whole team basically revolted against me when I came back. And I don't blame them. It was a very stark exit, but it was a massive fail forward in the sense that I now have strict guidelines of what I will or will not do. I also figured out that there's a thing called critical mass for me. And I realized what my 4 stressors were. It's money, being alone, stress, and sleep. And I've added a T for time. If we've got all 5 of those, we're in shambles. And so what can we do to watch that temperature gauge much closer, much more intently, and making sure we've got the workout, the mindfulness, the quiet time. I have an alarm that goes off at 6:10 and we stop talking about work. And what happened as a result of that was our company this year has sustainably doubled in size, team-wise, revenue-wise. I still feel like I'm wearing a decent amount of hats, but I'm very aware of what's going on. And I think that's how I look at, gosh, like I was so broken, and yet we really, truly do fail forward if we'll take those lessons and actually learn from them. And I'm hoping that in a decade from now, I'm not having another break, but truly seeing these are the systems. Before, I didn't have a system or a process. This time, we've implemented systems for success. And I believe that's the secret.
Before you move on, write down your own fail forward moment, the one that changed how you think, lead, or decide today. And if you're willing, share it inside our Facebook group, the Dental Marketer Society Facebook group. There's going to be a link in the show notes below. And your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear.